does it kind of make you feel like sometimes, like you look at America, right? And you look at these protesters outside and they're protesting this or they're protesting that, or they're mad at this and, they don't got their minimum wage is not enough. So they're pissed off at this, or, the work, the unions, they rise up and they get pissed off at whatever it is that the company's not doing for them. They're not getting enough. Does it ever make you cringe a little bit to say, wait a minute, y'all are a bunch of babies, and y'all are a bunch of whiners and complainers, because at the end of the day, look at how these people are living in other countries, man. I mean, and they're rising up, they're putting on a good face, they're living a great life, they're resourceful, they're working their ass off every day for so much less than we have. And there are people that burn the American flag, that hate America, that they just don't appreciate what they have. I mean, do you ever feel that way at all, or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there are some cases where I do feel that way. I think it's all kind of comes down to how someone grows up and what they experience, right? And how their perspective is on life, and also what their perspective is on what they deserve. I think that's where there's a lot of mixed confusion. It's like, hey, should the government be the ones protecting us? Is it the government's role actually to be the decision maker of my income? And where do they, how do they perceive it? So, I try not to get too involved with like politics stuff, but I do feel there is a level where government needs to protect, needs to create a world or an economic system that can allow growth and allow improvement. But also at the same point, I do feel there's a lot of people that maybe feel entitled, and they blame the world and they blame the government for where they're at. But, there's always unique cases. And I, in the end, it kind of comes down to what your preference is, how you see the world, and what you do about it. And like you said, if there's, there's some that maybe they aren't driven to succeed, and there's some that are, right? And how do we help those? For me, it's like, how do we help those that actually want to succeed, right? And not to blame others for not feeling that way at all.
Yeah, I do a coaching program every Wednesday morning, which was this morning at 9 a.m.
Oh, cool.
And I was telling them that, at the end of the day, we get to decide our fate. Especially as entrepreneurs. All these people that are with me, they're all entrepreneurs, and they're all people that are poor, hungry, and driven. At least, the ones that are making a lot of money now, they were at some point poor, hungry, and driven. And I think that, the people that are not that way, those are the people that are going to be the workers in the world. Those are the people that have kind of been, I think one of the biggest scams in the world is the college education, because they want to charge you, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to get this piece of paper. And now, granted, some situations, you obviously need a college degree because of, if you want to be a doctor or attorney or something like that, there's obvious, reasons why. But most people shouldn't be going to college, because they get up in the morning and they have a dream of wanting to build something or own their own business or create something. And that could all be taught by just living it and going out and doing it. Most people, they go to college for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and then they get out and they say, okay, I'm going to go build my own company. And they don't know how to sell. They don't know how to grind it. They think they're entitled because they have a piece of paper. They think that they're entitled to make a lot of money just because they have a college education. Well, the truth is, the builders, the dreamers, the visionaries, these are the people that are ultimately going to make it long range. Now, again, with a college education or no college education, you could still have those dreamers, but it's really the dreamers, the visionaries, the people that say, I'm willing to grind it until, I get to that destination. And I think there's no secrets anymore, man. We all, especially because of the internet, there's no secrets anymore. We all know what to do. It's just who's going to do it.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot that you said there, and that sparked a lot of thought in my life. And also, it kind of ties into why I'm very passionate about mobile homes, So we talked about how I moved here to California, to Silicon Valley. There was this weird situation with my family. My dad was the main breadwinner. They divorced, he fled the country, whatever. And I was left at 17, 18 years old, having to pretty much support my single mom and my younger sister. And during that time, it was the hardest time of my life. I remember at the end of every single month having to work 2 jobs just to cover rent and to barely make ends meet. I even had to sell things I had and do stuff on the
Wow.
side just to be able to survive, right?
Wow. Wow.
And there was this different mind shift in my head when I was living and surviving under my dad. I can honestly say I felt entitled a bit. I felt like I was going to go to college, I was going to be able to do this and take my time with that. But then as soon as I realized that I'm responsible for 2 other people's lives, that's when I was like, shit. I don't know if I could cuss. I was like, shoot,
No, it's
I
okay. It's
have to
okay.
I have to make
Shit.
ends
You, you,
meet.
you, you can cuss all you want here on Wealth on the Beach
Well,
podcast. It's all good, man.
yes.
This is a conversation, man. We're real people. We use real words. So anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, it was now a world where I have to do whatever it takes. I'm in survival mode. There's no excuses to be had. I need to make enough to feed my younger sister and my mom, and to house my younger sister and my mom. And going through that difficulty and seeing how difficult it is to just survive in an area. And even though I was hardworking as best as I could morning to night, it wasn't enough to survive. And going through that, I had to be resourceful. I had to learn. I was in a situation where I was doing graphic design for a real estate company, and I asked for a raise. They said, we won't pay more for marketing, but we'll teach you how to sell. So I became an agent. I door knocked morning to night. I ended up doing really well at that.
Awesome.
And that kind of built up my financial stability. And I didn't go through college like you mentioned, but I learned everything I needed to learn off of YouTube and podcasts and books, right? But it was just that resourcefulness of having to learn, and that need of having to learn is what educated me. But that being said, after I was finally financially stable, I realized, like, hey, I don't really love this real estate thing. I actually kind of hate it, because it's kind of a system where we're trained to help the wealthiest people we can help get the most expensive homes that they can, so that the wealthy can get wealthier. And unfortunately, the biggest part that I hated was having to tell people that were in my shoes back then and say, hey, I'm sorry, you don't make enough money. You don't have enough saved as a down payment. I can't help you, but if you make more or save more, I can help you later. And the truth of the world is that, hey, there's so many people trying to help the rich and wealthy, like fighting to help the rich and wealthy. And there's not enough people helping those that really want to work to make it, just to go from 0 to 1, from survival mode into just financially stable. So I dedicated my life trying to figure out, how do I help people that were in my shoes back then be able to go from that rat race into a better condition, so that these good people can help more good people. And I looked into working for the government for affordable housing. I didn't really love all the programs out there that we're going through, and I realized that, shoot, I accidentally came across mobile home parks, and what I thought were mobile home parks were like trailer trash, that sort of thing. It came to shock me that these were actually great places and with great people. And it was a perfect place for people to start their wealth building journey. And through, in a weird way, it's like you can use this capitalistic approach with a lower barrier of entry, to be able to own a mobile home, to get yourself out of that rental rat race, build yourself up from there. 4 years later, you have an asset you can sell and buy real estate later. So we built a business around guiding people to get out of renting into mobile home ownership, and then into real estate. And now today we're converting what people think is old trailers. We're turning 800 square foot mobile homes into 1,800 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, beautiful luxury homes that are 12-foot high ceilings and pushing the limits of what's possible. So that's where we're at today. And that's why I'm so passionate about it.
So how does that work? I mean, so where do you meet these people? And, what's the, is there any barriers to entry? What do they get when they're working with somebody like you?
Yeah. So I guess the first thing I want to say is, first, the big housing problem, right? Because we touched a little bit on that, but basically in our area, I'll talk a bit, but I know in most of the country it's different, but average rent for a 2-bedroom apartment's about $3,500 a month. An average single family home, if they wanted to purchase, is about $1.5 million. There's a huge gap from how do you ever dream of owning a home when you're paying such a high amount for rent? How can you save up to buy a single family home where all the benefits are there, the home ownership, the appreciation, the tax benefits, being able to leverage a loan to build up your net worth? That's not accessible. There's a huge wealth gap there. And the beautiful thing about mobile homes is it's a great middle point, because if I wanted to buy real estate at 10% down, that's $150,000 you'd have to put down, and your mortgage or your monthly payment jump is going to go to like $7,000-8,000, right? That's a huge step that people aren't able to take because it's a big thing to accomplish. Now, if we talk a mobile home in that same zip code, average price point's about $300,000. 10% down is about $30,000. The space rent's about $1,000. Their mortgage is about $2,700. So they're paying about $3,700 a month, just a little bit more than if they were renting, except they're leveraging a loan to build up their net worth. They're able to get those tax benefits, the appreciation. They get to leverage a loan to buy something that they get to call their own and that they get to sell later down the line. So the key thing here is that it's a stepping stone to get out of that rental cash flow model where everything goes away, lowering that and making it a better cash flow model so that your family can feel more financially secure. And that allows, that extra step in between allows for people to grow, right? And the thing that I'm hating and that I'm seeing in this world today is that it's getting harder and harder for regular low-income families to be able to have that equal opportunity to own housing. And that's why we love mobile homes, and that's why it's a perfect stepping stone for people to get out. And we start in this very expensive area, but we also do it in other metro areas now too, in LA, San Diego. We do consulting for like people in Texas, Arizona. These numbers are very high for some people that are listening, but the ratios are kind of the same.
Thank you for watching. If you like this video and you want to watch another clip, click right here. If you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.